And we're live.
We are live. CABC family, good Friday evening to you. Producer Kev over to my left, if I'm using the reflexive properties correctly, virtually, of course. John Garcia here. Excited to be back with you guys. We talked about becoming more consistent, being more how we used to be, really more consistent than we used to be. So this is another step in that direction. And honestly, Kev already tweeted it out, so you got to follow up when somebody tweets out, "Hey, it's feeling like a pod kind of night." So why not? Let's cap the week with CABC. A lot going on. Contact period officially here, so recruiting is about to turn all the way up.
All the way up.
The NFL draft decisions are all in. Those are done, and there's a lot to talk about there. Of course, the coaching carousel still spinning. Dave Aranda headed to Baylor as LSU's exodus continues. So a lot to get to here on a Friday night. In mid-January, Kevin, January, more than halfway over. How do you feel about your life?
I'm looking forward to my paycheck because I haven't gotten paid in a long time. But other than that, halfway through.
That's very random.
No, it's the getting paid once a month thing. So I got paid before Christmas, trying to make it to the end of January. But no, halfway through the month of January. I can't believe we're already like halfway through a month in the new year. But feeling good. Been trying to keep track of this draft. These guys declaring for the draft and staying in school. Have some big.
Can we just jump into that because Clemson's ridiculousness
Yeah,
continues there?
Me and you were talking about it today. I feel like there's something in the water down there in at Clemson. I mean, not only do you keep one of the best running backs in the country that could have foregone his senior year, comes back for his senior year, Travis Etienne, or whatever you pronounce his last name.
ETN, Travis
Etienne. He's from
Of course,
Louisiana.
my grandmother saw him in the Natty and said "Etienne," which is how we would say it in Spanish.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. You can go a lot of directions with this thing, but we're
Yeah.
gonna go ETN.
Yeah. So I mean, not only do you get him to stay for his senior year, I mean, obviously you got Trevor Lawrence coming back for his junior year. You lost T. Higgins
And AJ Terrell, that's really good.
Yeah, so I
That's
mean,
really it.
they kept a lot of people, and not only that, but like the fact that they haven't lost any of their coaches.
Just Jeff
That's
Scott,
why I
that was
said
it.
they're in the water down there because they're keeping everybody.
Right. The only coach they lost was a co-OC. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So everything else is still in place. So Jeff Scott, head coaching at USF here down the road from me. But everyone else is still in place. Tony Elliott's still your OC. Of course, Venables your DC. Todd Bates on the O-line. Todd Bates on the D-line. Robbie Caldwell on the O-line. It's kind of status quo for Clemson. And we wonder if they have that sort of Bama thing where, remember when Bama would lose in a natty and we would all be like, oh, man, Bama's going to be crazy next year. I kind of feel that could be Clemson in 2020. I think that's why most people were, I think, rooting for LSU. They just figured Clemson would be back because of the ACC and because of Trevor Lawrence and because of all of that continuity. That's before we even realized that ETN was going to be there on top of it. By the way, they're getting DeMarcus Bowman to complement him. So Lynn J. Dixon's the current backup. I think he'll be watching his six all spring and summer because DeMarcus Bowman is an SI All-American and a freak of nature. For those who don't know, the comp here is Dalvin Cook. I think he's an accelerator like that, low to the ground, just ridiculous burst. But he's got some thickness to him as well. He can lower the shoulder pads and run through you. And he played at Lakeland, won state titles, beat. This kid's a freak of nature who will play day one should he do everything he needs to do on and off the field. So yeah, Clemson's best recruiting class ever is coming in. And then you keep all these coaches and Trevor and Travis and et cetera, et cetera. So this feels like one of those watch out for Bama after a loss kind of deals with Clemson. Although, of course, Bama now should be feeling pretty good too. A lot of good news there. Of course, since we last came on, Najee Harris electing to stay. And in Najee Harris fashion, not telling you that he's electing to stay. He's just going to stay. He's just going to stay. He's just going to show up in T-Town. and keep working as if it was another day of practice. And that's why we love Najee. He does his own thing, stays in his own lane, and that's big news for Bama. No matter how you look at it, with this 2020 season on deck, a lot of inexperience in that running back room behind he and Brian Robinson. Jerome Ford hit the portal. So 3 backs coming in to pair with Najee and Robinson there at the forefront, and Mac Jones / Bryce Young. Yeah, Trey Sanders coming back. So I mean, this backfield all of a sudden is top 2 in the country with Clemson, right? And Oklahoma State. Those got to be the best backfields in America going into next season. So you got to feel pretty good as a Bama fan. Kev, how surprised were you that Najee decided to stay? Not certainly how he decided to stay, but the fact that he did say no to the draft, at least right now.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about running backs, and running backs there's a shelf life to a running back, and I thought this was one of those ones where his shelf life at Bama had come to an end because I felt like he had his year. This is the year that we kind of have been waiting for from him to kind of come out of the shell and make these runs that we were expecting him to make, and the hurdles and all this stuff that we saw coming out of high school. So I mean, I personally expected him to go just because he got that good year of tape. Everybody, I mean, what he can do, what he's capable of. He's shown off the receiving aspect of his game now, which the NFL really, really is starting to turn towards, being able to catch the ball out of the backfield. It's really become an integral part of most NFL offenses, and you got to have a back that can come out of the backfield and catch. So, I was surprised. I'm not surprised how he did it. He just showed back up at Tuscaloosa and was like, "Yo, what's up, guys? Let's get to work."
He's like, "What time's practice?" "Oh yeah, I'll be there."
Yeah, I'll be there. I mean,
yeah,
puts an Instagram story of himself up in the pool, recovery pool thing, and everybody kind of assumed, oh well, he's back in Tuscaloosa, so he must be back, and then he's back. So kind of surprising, not surprised how he did it, but definitely surprised on the fact that he is coming back. It is good news for Alabama, as the quarterback situation we all know is up in the air, but at least now you have the running back situation solidified. So if you have to lean on your running game early in the year to help your quarterbacks give time to develop and all of that, you've got the returning experience coming back in Najee, and then you'll have Trey and all the guys coming in this year. So it's real good news for Alabama on that front. So
yeah, and quick thought for those thinking already of that opening game of 2020, USC in terms of their NFL draft guys, Austin Jackson, the big time left tackle, he has departed, but Tyler Vaughns, the senior receiver, is sticking around, as well as Jay Tufele, the big defensive tackle for USC. So USC, I think, came out positive as well with the whole early entrant situation. They did lose Velus Jones, who's an Alabama native. He's headed over to Tennessee to play for T. Martin, but everybody else is sort of status quo at USC. So that game, has a little bit more NFL luster, a little bit more NFL angles heading into this season. So I think a lot of teams, Bama, Clemson, USC came up positive when it comes to the early entrant situation, but we do know one team that did not.
Yeah,
that's LSU.
This thing. We thought the Bama exodus last year was bad with all the coaches leaving and all that, but I mean, they've lost as of today at the end of draft declaration period, whatever you want to call it. They've had 14 starters either graduate or declare early for the draft. You're losing the Heisman Trophy winner. You're losing your passing game coordinator and Joe Brady, who's now the offensive coordinator in Carolina for the NFL team here in Charlotte. And then you lose Dave Aranda, who now becomes the Baylor head coach. You got
to recruit against them, yeah.
Who I saw a crazy stat off that 2001 Mike Leach Texas Tech team. There's now 11 of those guys that are now head coaches.
Wow.
So that was with Dave Aranda becoming Baylor's head coach. 11 of those guys are head coaches now. So I can't tell you who all it is, but there's a lot of people on that. So,
incredible.
Yeah. So that's Yeah, it's big, man. They lost so much to the draft, and it's we talked about could LSU come back with just getting a transfer quarterback. Now you got to replace what was pretty much your OC. He wasn't calling plays, but I mean he was pretty much an OC. And Joe Brady, offensive guru, who was pretty much credited for the emergence of this offense in Joe Burrow, and you're losing defensive mastermind Dave Aranda, who has been the DC there with these great defenses the last couple years. So you're really replacing. They're really replacing a lot. Whereas a lot of these other schools have come out pretty well, like Bama and like we just said. So
Yeah. So a couple names for those who are maybe casual SEC fans. Clyde Edwards-Helaire declared for the NFL draft. Thaddeus Moss declared for the NFL draft. The tight end who had 2 touchdowns in the Natty. Justin Jefferson, really the breakout.
That was a
Really
Moss. Catches 2 touchdowns, declares for the draft. Like,
hey, guess what? You're going to have to watch more tape on him now, right? If you're an
yeah,
NFL scout, you
yeah.
got to cycle back on that tape. Tight end is definitely not as loaded as it was last NFL draft, so I think he'll benefit from that. Jefferson, who's the breakout receiver, he declares. Remember, he had 4 touchdowns in the semifinal. They lost an offensive lineman early, Sadiq Charles. Remember, going into the year, we thought LSU's O-line was middle of the road SEC, so their best player up front. He is now headed to the NFL. Of course, Burrow gone as well. Defensively, in terms of the early guys, of course, Grant Delpit departed. One of the linebackers, Patrick Queen, who sort of broke out late in the season, he departed. Probably their most athletic linebacker. Jacoby Stevens, I believe, stayed, but Jacob Phillips departed. So it was really, I think, 2 or 3 guys who were eligible to leave stayed. Everybody else dipped. Bunch of coaches dipped, and this LSU follow up is going to be pretty interesting to follow from all angles here. I truly wonder how that's going to go. And then in regards to adding transfer quarterbacks, everybody goes to Derek King as the LSU guy. We've talked about it for months. Well, he's at Miami this
I was
weekend.
about to say he's in
Last
Miami
week.
this weekend. Like, what is Miami doing here?
So now you have to wonder if you're LSU, your approach with King, how much does it change without Joe Brady and without another 2 weapons in the receiving core with Thad Moss and Jefferson? Remember, these grad transfer quarterbacks, they want to come in, play, and get to the playoff. They want buckets, right? Come in, instant offense. They want to do the Justin Fields thing and immediately take that team to the next level. Well, now you have less weapons. Of course, LSU had a great recruiting class. They're still working on it. There are weapons throughout that class, particularly at wide receiver, and they're getting the best tight end in America, Arik Gilbert. So all of that stuff helps, but you're still talking about freshmen. So you want those freshmen to be complements. And right now, after Jamar Chase and that offense, there are nothing in terms of experience within that LSU roster. So that thing is going to be quite wild to follow going forward. And I wonder when it comes to preseason polls, not that they mean a damn thing, but when it comes to preseason polls, how you got to drop LSU, right? It's not going to be LSU 1, Clemson 2 like the games showed us. No, it's going to be different because we're talking about a new year. How far down do you drop LSU? Could you possibly win a national championship and be slated outside of the top 10? It's not likely preseason, but you could make that argument. I mean, how many teams could you conceivably take today over LSU? We all agree on Clemson. We should agree on Alabama. Ohio State should be a no-brainer. I think Oklahoma, provided Spencer Rattler is anything we think, they could be in an argument to be better than LSU. Just in the SEC, Georgia belongs in that conversation. They've upgraded maybe at the quarterback position. At least they've already solved their quarterback issue compared to LSU. We know Auburn is only going to trend similarly to this past year. And heck, they gave LSU as good of a game as anyone and held them to the fewest amount of points scored with their defense. So I think you can make a strong argument that LSU might not even be a no-brainer top 10 team. It's kind of crazy, but I think it's true. Oregon is going to be in the top 10. Florida, I think, is going to be in the top 10. So I don't know how far LSU can fall, but it feels unprecedented. I haven't gone back and done the research. That's the producer's job. But I can't remember how lowly ranked a defending national champion opened up in the rankings. Again, they don't matter, but it's just interesting. I think LSU is going to come out a little bit lower than what we're used to. Typically, you're still in the top 5, usually 2 or 3 after you win it all, even if you lose some guys. But I think LSU is going to be on the massive downside of that. I could see them 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 without really constructing too deep of an argument there. So it's going to be just in the SEC. I think there are 3 or 4 teams that are at least right there with LSU, given what they lost. So it's going to be fun. It's going to feel almost like baseball, Kev, where it's like every year is truly different. And I think the Bama Clemson thing maybe lulled some people to sleep with that. But if you look at those other teams, it's been round robin. And I think this 2020 year is going to be the most round robin-ish. I think the only locks for the playoff, as we said last show, are Ohio State and Clemson. I think everything else is truly up for grabs. And I think most years it feels less open than that. I think we usually feel like 2, 3, or 4 teams are sort of the group, and everybody else is just fighting for New Year's Six bowls. But I think there's a legitimate openness and an open feel to this 2020 season, at least at this juncture. And we still got the portal to shake out. Chase Bryce did leave Clemson, right? The quarterback, the backup. For those remember last year, he came in and beat Syracuse when Clemson was down. T-Law got knocked out pretty early in that game. I think it was his first start after Kelly Bryant quit. And Chase Bryce came out and won them that game. I think it was a big 4th and 15 or so. He hit T. Higgins to get over Syracuse. And that was kind of the end of Syracuse's run. But, Chase Bryce can play. So that'll be another nice option for those in the quarterback portal market. So I think LSU, Miami, Florida State, Wake Forest, now that they've lost quarterbacks. I mean, there's a lot of programs in need out there, and Chase Bryce is another addition. So pretty interesting with LSU. And like we said, the top quarterback target for them, he's at Miami right now. And how attractive is LSU compared to a week ago? It's got to be a 180 for this kid. So you just wonder how much a school like Miami is reminding him of that, although, of course, they don't really have a whole lot to counter with, but they're in Miami. It's nice. I'm in Florida right now. It's about 70 degrees. So maybe that's a good starting point. But Rhett Lashley's down there as the OC. I think he's much more of a recruit-friendly coach compared to Danny. So there's news there. Speaking of coaching news, real quick, I know we're kind of dumping a lot on you. Burton Burns headed to the NFL as well. He was a longtime running backs coach at Alabama. He is reportedly headed to the Giants, who are definitely leading the pack for weirdest offseason in terms of coaching hires. They hired Patriots wide receivers coach after the Patriots receivers were terrible, brought in Jason Garrett to supplement that, and I don't have to explain that. And now Burton Burns, who really wasn't coaching in the last few years. It was sort of a consultant for Alabama, associate head coach. So really interesting offseason for the New York Giants, but there was more Bama news there with Burton Burns. Of course, Charles Huff, the current running backs coach, and he's doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah, I don't. Though I saw that this afternoon about the Jason Garrett going to the Giants, and I was just kind of like, what's happening right now? Where are we going?
You know what's crazy? Hold on, real quick. You know what's crazy about this LSU stuff? We haven't talked about Odell Beckham. We haven't talked about the White House. We haven't talked about any of that. That's how crazy this roster is right now with LSU with these departures. It's a lot. There's a lot going on with that program. So I'm truly interested to see how Coach O and company rebound. But I will say, enjoy that trip to DC today, fellas, and enjoy the wins that are coming in. I'm sure they'll be blingy and perfect, but just enjoy it. That's all. Enjoy it.
Yeah, it was the fact that we didn't even talk about any of that has been amazing. The fact that Odell Beckham's handing wads of cash to players on the sideline.
Bro, I mean, what?
I mean, like, in the world that in the landscape of college football that we are in right now, with the NCAA.
I mean, it's just he's on the 50-yard line. He's not even in the locker room. I mean, he's on the field.
He's handing stacks of cash to players.
Well, he counted it first too. It was like,
yeah, I mean,
hey, look at me, and then I'm gonna give it to you, and then I'm gonna give it to another guy.
Yeah, and then there's the whole like security threatening to arrest players smoking cigars. I don't understand that one. And then he slaps a security guard on the ass or something, gets an arrest warrant issued. Like, what is
bizarre? Just bizarre.
take
It's
the
it's weird, and I think a lot of things about Odell are weird. But this has been very weird. Like the moment that game ended, LSU started trending down in so many ways. And that is so weird to me. And I don't think look the thing with the
like
policemen
celebrating with your
are
school. I get it. Like I understand you're proud, you're an
right.
LSU alumni, but like don't hand out wads of cash.
So it's like I don't know. Maybe he's just ahead of the game, and it's like look, it's not gonna be great in 2020 anyway. So let's just have more fun. Let's
Take
just
this while you got it. Like
let me take it to another level because we can, right?
Yeah.
So the whole locker room thing, that's like no comment on that. But odd to win a national championship and literally the 3 or 4 days after, everything is negative and or weird. And that's really, where LSU's at from a continuity standpoint. Yeah.
They're making weird social media videos with some White House lady. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, okay, who is that lady though?
I don't know. Somebody said it was their academic person, but I don't know who
She's
it is.
getting promoted wherever she is.
Yeah, so I don't know who that was. That was weird too, but yeah. So, whole thing was.
I'm trying to hit the chat button, and for some reason
it's all good. I mean, there's not. We got a
Okay.
little bit going on in the chat, so I mean.
Well, I'll trust you on that. This is water, by the way.
Yeah. So we do have some people. I mean, DJ's in. DJ's been a long time guy. He's been with us for a while.
Shout out DJ.
Appreciate DJ. He said, "What's up, guys? King to LSU." I mean, that would be you. That's what everybody kind of thinks. But then, I mean, his first officially goes to Miami of all places.
Yeah.
So then asking about that's about LSU's quarterback situation. People are saying Miles Brennan, which I mean we talked about.
I mean maybe
it should be his. He's
in the Mac Jones category, but really like Mac Jones light because we've seen less of Miles.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, you trying to win 9-10 games, or you trying to get to the playoff? At least have the competition, right? At least you got to bring somebody in to compete.
It's got to be open at this point. I mean, you're not going to just crown somebody.
I would be floored. They're signed 2 quarterbacks. I would be floored if either one of those guys is ready to go day one. Floored. Write it down. Old takes exposed. Whatever you want to do. If TJ Finley or Max Johnson are ready to go day one at LSU, I would be floored. If they even really gave Miles Brennan a good look at this point, I would be floored. Seeing both of them in action, both intriguing, both certainly have a lot of tools. But I do think both are projects. And Peter Parrish, I think, is still sort of on that end of the scale going into year 2. Remember, he was never the full-time starter in high school. So to imagine him 2 years later leading the defending champions is a little far-fetched just from a conventional perspective. So love the kid, great kid, a legit athlete, and a good passer. But in terms of everything coming together, I think it's going to be a while, especially – you would expect Steve Ensminger and that crew to try to maintain a lot of what Joe Brady implemented, which we know was more quick thinking, more on the fly, deeper progressions, which is always the hardest thing for a young quarterback, especially against complex SEC defenses. You just don't expect a teenager to be able to factor into that. So Miles Brennan or grad transfer, start the competition there and trickle on down. But I'd be shocked if it wasn't Brennan and or King at the top of that race going forward. But either way, LSU they're a movie. They're a movie going forward. They've been a movie really this whole year. It's like an extended cut. We're in the extended cut now.
We're in the extended cut, special directed cut. Yeah, because I mean Max Johnson, he's the 251st player in the country according to some websites, and I mean the kid's 6'4", 215, so I mean he looks the part.
I mean, Brad Johnson's son. We all remember Brad at Florida State and winning did he win a Super Bowl? Yeah, with the Bucks. Yeah.
Bucks.
Yeah, Brad had his moments. Played
And
for the
then
Cowboys in his later years.
yeah,
But
TJ
good
Finley.
tools there.
Yeah,
So
he's got the
yeah,
tools, and then TJ started. I mean, I don't know. TJ Finley. I mean, he definitely has the intangibles. He's 6'6", 250. He
he's a
looks,
big old cat.
yeah, he looks
I
good
saw
off
him at
the
the
field.
opening at should I say it? No, I mean he's a big kid and he acts like a big kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got the he's a 3-star out of Louisiana, but I mean,
Got a
obviously
huge arm, just
he's gonna be a
inconsistent.
project.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some Jamarcus Russell in him in multiple ways, which is
I
good.
was really hoping you compared him to Marcus Russell because he's a big
He's
kid
a
with a big
big
arm.
he's a big kid who can off of his back foot launch that thing 55 yards. Yeah, he can. He can do that. That is confirmed. Everything else, TBD. But
Yeah.
that part is absolutely confirmed. But again, I think Max Johnson had some really sort of poor production early in high school. Picked it up as a senior a ton, but again, playing small school ball in Georgia, and then boom, you're in the SEC competing for a playoff spot. It's just a lot. It's just a lot for a kid like that. So I'm not even sure if either or both of them were early enrollees. So I just think it's going to be a minute. It's going to be a minute for those guys. So LSU's quarterback situation among the most intriguing in the country. But if some of those Brady things were implemented and can be maintained by Ensminger and company, then you should still be attracted to it. How much? I don't know. It's a very different looking team, but you should still have some interest. So we'll see what King does. Hey, maybe Chase Bryce is their guy. I'm not sure. I mean, everybody in the Clemson program and around the Clemson program loves the kid. He's a winner, son of a coach. Grayson High School, we all know what they did with Kim Dichie and those guys, Wayne Gallman back in the day. They've won like that since those guys have departed, and Bryce was a part of that for several years. And like we said, he's proven to some degree. We know the moment ain't too big for Chase Bryce, and he's obviously been in a great system for several years. But he just think about the guys he sat behind, right? He comes in, and Deshaun Watson is the starter, and then Trevor Lawrence enrolls. I mean, what the hell was he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know how he may be a top 10 quarterback in the country, and we wouldn't know because he's behind two goats at Clemson. So
And
yeah,
neither one of those quarterbacks at LSU are enrolled. So you're already a step.
that's the deal breaker, man.
You're already
Yeah,
a step back. So,
yeah,
but I figured, we've hit on some of the big stuff going on in the world of college football and the draft and all of that. So I guess we should probably give the people what they come to hear. We've
let's
gotten
do it. They want us to box virtually.
got a lot of requests to go back to the roots, and we're trying to get back there. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's take a quick look at some of the Alabama guys enrolled, committed
sure.
for the 2020 class for Alabama.
Well, running back isn't as big of a deal, but Bama did sign three. So
Yep.
I think now all of a sudden with Najee coming back, you've got one of the bigger SEC running back rooms. You got 6 or 7 guys right now who have some type of experience. I'm not even factoring in guys like Christian Story, who may be an athlete for you in this class, Chadarius Townsend, who's floated from DB to receiver to running back over the years at Alabama, and then Robinson, Najee, and these three added all into that. I mean, that's quite a group of bodies at the running back position. Jace McClellan is a star out of Texas. This cat was committed to Oklahoma for 2 years and flipped to Bama. I think talk about recruiting. That's a win right there. And I think he's the best of the three backs. Certainly the one best built for space. Rodell Williams is the in-state cat from Bessemer, Hueytown High School, same as Jameis Winston. He's more of your conventional downhill Alabama back. Think of a balanced running back. Who we really hadn't seen a lot of. He's a Friday night kid. No camps, no track, no testing. There's still some unknown with Roydell Williams that I think is very intriguing, but obviously knows what to do with the ball in his hands. And then Kyle Edwards, the kid out of Louisiana, who's actually in town this weekend with a couple other official visitors. Cedric Van Pran, who's a Georgia O-line commitment. Javon Baker, who's an Alabama receiver commitment. And McKinley Jackson, maybe the top DT in the country, who isn't signed just yet, told me he's probably going to Bama this weekend. So TBD on that as we look to follow up. But Kyle Edwards is back on campus. He's another balanced type like Roy Dell, but maybe a little bit more geared towards space compared to Roy Dell. So McClellan, pure space guy. Roy Dell, balanced, more of a first and second down cat. And then Edwards is a bit of a blend. So you like the versatility and diversity of those Alabama running backs. Very typical under Saban, but it was clearly a priority. You want to talk about the quarterback coming in, Kev? Because I think I'm all Bryce Young'd out at this point.
I mean, yeah, I mean, what more can we say? They signed one. They signed one who happens to be the top in the country, Bryce Young. A lot of Tua comps and all that stuff. So I mean, we've said it before, and I'll say it one more time before we're done talking about Bryce Young until the spring game. But
yeah.
you know, maturity level and X's and O's. Don't be surprised when he comes in and picks things up very quickly. In the Sarkisian offense, look for him to probably be in the spring game. Look for him to probably be the number 2 in the spring game, just because the X's and O's is there. The modern day offense is very complex. It's very pro. What is becoming pro style offense. With the spread type stuff that you're going to see at Alabama, throwing the ball and all that stuff. So I think that, he'll be number 2 going in the spring game. Probably don't be surprised if maybe he even wins the job. Who knows? We'll see where that goes, see how he performs in spring. So, yeah, I'm done. I'm with you on Bryce Young out. We'll move to the receivers. Got four of them committed right now. You got two enrolled already. One signed and one hard commit in Javon Baker. Is your hard commit. And then you got Mr. Bell out of Carroll City. Another South Florida. The South Florida receiver pipeline is still open and running for them. We all know the story of the South Florida receivers so far. Bell's, 5'11", 190-ish. So,
he brings more of what you would expect from South Florida: route running, polish, competitive, big play cat. I mean, he's not going to test out the gym. He's not going to wow you with any one thing, but his combination of things is pretty special, as we've come to expect from South Florida wide receivers. And in terms of Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Xavier Williams, he's probably more like Cooper. And just let me slow down. He's more like Cooper just in terms of his grit and how he plays. I think Jeudy was more finesse. I know Jeudy was more finesse. Ridley was more of just a lightning bolt, right? Pretty routes, and then when he hit go, it was a little bit different. I think Jones Bell's a little bit more in the Cooper mold, where yes, he can run by you, but he can manufacture by you as well, and he's very dangerous after the catch. Jones Bell might be as good as any of these guys after the catch in terms of physicality. He looks like a running back already, so I think that's where it gets really exciting, especially when you think of these current offenses, right? What do you get? Bubble screens, jet sweeps, slip screens, pitches, things like that allow these playmakers to go do that. And I think that he's going to have a chance to maybe factor in early. We know Devontae Smith is back, one of the huge recruiting wins for Nick Saban this cycle. But after that, after he and Jalen Waddle, I should say, a lot of question marks, right? John Mechie, is he ready to be that next guy? What about the rest of this group? What about Tyrell Shavers, the other receiver who came in with Jeudy, Ruggs, and Smitty? So there's still some other bodies in there, and I think the polish and after catch ability of Jones Bell, who is enrolled, could help him factor in pretty early. So he's definitely the receiver I would be most excited about if I was a Bama fan.
Yeah, like we've said, the enrolling early part, man, it's so important these days. And Bama got a lot of these guys already enrolled. Young's already enrolled. Brazel's already enrolled. The 5-star athlete out of Texas, Drew Sanders, is already enrolled. So, I mean, they've got a lot of these guys already enrolled. Jace McKellen's already enrolled. I mean, Williams is already enrolled. Jones Bell, Jackson Bratton, all these guys are already enrolled. They're already on campus. They're taking college classes. They're in the door. They're learning the playbook. I mean, it's huge for these teams now to get these guys in, get them in January, let them – and they're there. They're already there. They've been there for weeks now. So, we talked about it last year when you had guys like Pierce Quick and all practicing in bowl practices. I mean,
Evan Neal,
Evan Neal, it's huge for these guys to get in and, get going early. So it's a good sign that Alabama still got these guys getting in early. So
no doubt. Receiver room looks pretty good coming in. Could still be better too. I think there's still some room maybe for a receiver or pass catcher to be added, whether it's a receiver or a tight end. So certainly keep an eye on signing day. Alabama could improve there. Not a lot of spots left, but I think that's one area where they could potentially look to add there. The secondary and of course D-line, because it's Alabama. They're always going to recruit D linemen until the 11th hour, whether it's McKinley Jackson, who I mentioned, who may be on campus this weekend. Jay Hardy, an Auburn commitment, all of a sudden, he didn't sign because he was at like a basketball event. It was it was a very recruiting 2020 thing. And again, these kids don't realize they can sign later, right? But 3 days go by, he doesn't sign for whatever reason. And Auburn feels okay about it, but all of a sudden here comes Alabama and other schools coming in for another big, if you're a big athlete on the defensive line and you don't sign early, you're going to get more love. It's too big of a priority position for you to sort of slip through. And I think that's what's happening with Jay Hardy. So I think Alabama's going to stay aggressive on the defensive front. Real quick, speaking of that, kid who thinks he's a D lineman, Jason Jones, actually going to Baylor.
I was getting ready to ask you.
He's going to Baylor this weekend. I'd say he's committed to Baylor.
They got six D linemen, and they only have 3 offensive linemen so far in this class.
Do the math, Kev.
And their best and probably the best offensive lineman in the class is playing defense and says he wants to play defense and all that. So I mean, more power to him. He's trying to stick to his guns, but I mean,
he's starting to open up a little bit towards it. So.
Well, I mean,
yeah, he has to.
Not everybody can do the Raekwon Davis. I mean,
he messed it up for everybody. Who's 6'6".
Yeah, I mean, he got all these big kids thinking they can just go play. They can go play nose in the SEC now, like just because he did it. I mean, Jones is what 6? He's almost 6'7", 340. I mean, you're a freaking tackle. Like, you're an offensive tackle. Like, just come to grips with it.
Yeah, he might even be a guard down the road. Who knows? He's a massive cat. Yeah,
you're gonna make more money doing that than you will trying to become a defensive lineman. When, I mean, you're just not as good at defensive line as you are at offensive line. So
right at Under Armour, talking to guys who, at 24/7 and Rivals and ESPN, who hadn't seen Jason because he wasn't a camp guy. He was, banged up or whatever was going on at different points. They were stricken when they saw him, and the last couple times we said that, we're like Daniel Faalele, who's at Minnesota, who's 6'9", 400, Evan Neal just 2 years ago, or really a year ago, and Jason Jones. Those are the guys who kind of strike you like, holy crap, this kid is massive, but he's not fat. Like, it's crazy. He's one of those guys, and people at Under Armour were like, man, is he going to be Evan Neal 2.0? We're like, well, he's playing defense. So even casually, your thoughts as an evaluator go there. They go to the offensive line. So we'll see. We'll see with Jason Jones, but he's taking an official to Baylor this weekend. We know Georgia Tech heavily involved here. Oregon may or may not be a major factor down the line. So obviously Alabama still holds his commitment. Maybe it's a blue shirt, maybe it's a gray shirt. All TBD on the final numbers. But if Jason Jones wants to play offensive line and stay home, he'll be at Alabama later rather than sooner, and he'll get that chance in January, in theory, next January. So we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. But that's certainly an interesting recruitment to follow, especially if you're just looking at the numbers, right? So
Yeah.
Jason Jones headed to Waco and Dave Aranda. How about that? I bet he holds on to a lot of that Baylor staff that Matt Rule put together. So I think that'll
Yeah, I
be
mean,
smart for all
I
parties
think
because
Rule.
it's pretty late. It's pretty late in the game for him. So
Yeah, I think Rule only took a couple guys with him to Carolina.
I know. Yeah, I know. Snow went over with him. Not sure how many other guys. So yeah, it's just going from college to the NFL. You don't want the whole college staff there. You want to bring in some more NFL types and or go get Joe Brady.
The people here in the greater Charlotte area, they don't really know how to react. I don't think they were. I think they wanted an NFL guy, but I've told
You
everybody
talking about for Joe or for Rule?
for both. So you get obviously they got we got them they hired Matt Rule. Everybody was kind of like, oh my gosh, they're hiring a college coach. But then I try to tell people, I say, y'all just wait, just give it a minute. I mean, and then of course he has his opening speech and like I'm ready to like run through a brick wall because I mean he knows he's got the gift of gab. He can talk. I mean he's got a good talk game and he
But
says
with him, it feels like honest though.
yeah, it does. He
It's
feels
pretty
like
like he's believable. Like you're like he's not reading a card up there.
it's
He's
not Lane
speaking from the
Kiffin.
heart.
Like, it's Matt Rule. So,
Hey, Lane Train's got a big weekend. Zach Evans. I mean, Zach Evans is the perfect Lane Kiffin recruit right now. I mean, Zach, we're not supposed to, push you anywhere, but go ahead and ink orange or orange, red, white, and blue. Go ahead and be a rebel, bro, because the fit is incredible, and I really can't dig into that, but the fit is impeccable. Zach Evans and Lane Kiffin will hit it off this weekend. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. And Ole Miss will be right there with Texas A&M as a huge threat to have maybe the number one back in the country in the fold, and everything will feel normal again in the SEC. So Lane's got a big weekend with Zach Evans on campus. Brady Ward's over there. Marcus Henderson's over there. Ole Miss got a lot of big names coming to town this weekend. Will not be boring in Oxford. Not that it ever is, but it definitely won't be. Won't be right now. All right, let's move on to the rest of this recruiting class. Kev, we touched on Christian Story briefly. Just named Mr. Football.
We got a question. We got a question in the chat on how do you think Bama will use Christian Story?
Great segue. I can't see the chat, so that's cool. So I've seen Christian since he was in 8th grade. There was his father's the coach there at Lynette. They've been good for several years. They had Triquez Bridges, who's now at Oregon. They had really the best player, Marlon Bridges, is maybe the best player to come from there. Smaller guy, a little bit of a tweener. He ended up at Jacksonville State, was like all conference, maybe all American before he was done there. So Lynette's had a lot of guys, 2 state titles over the last 4 or 5 years, and Christian Story's been a big part of that. So we've seen him play quarterback, running back, receiver, DB, returner, all the special teams roles in terms of coverage and returning. And he looks good every single time. All of the, maybe he's a dark horse quarterback stuff, I don't really see it. I mean, he's dedicated to that position to this point, but his dad's a football coach. He's a realist, right? The kid's been working at DB his whole life. He's been working at receiver his whole life. And I think with his size, it really just makes you wonder how quick and fast he's going to be. He's legitimate 6'1", well over 200 pounds. Think of a Ronnie Clark coming out of high school. He's got good size on him, and it just makes me think that he's destined to play a versatile role like an H-back, maybe even a bigger wide receiver, or maybe down the line growing into an outside linebacker. But I think early on, let him do what he's most comfortable with. Get the ball in his hands, not as a quarterback, but as a wide receiver, and sort of let him go. A lot of people default to defense here and default to safety, but what he's done and what Alabama wants to do in the secondary, 2 completely different things. Story's been more of a corner at the high school level, and he doesn't have the quickness and hips to play it in the SEC. So I think it would be people are assuming he could ascend to that because he's familiar with DB. Playing corner your whole life and then moving to safety in a scheme like Alabama's is 2 different worlds. So I just think that's something that's a little bit more far fetched for Christian. Now, if Alabama wants to try him there, obviously they're going to do it. But I think in terms of his development and his ability to see the field fairly early, I think offense will be the ticket for Christian. And heck, he is the all-time leader in the state of Alabama for yards and touchdowns. Not James Winston, not Bo Nix, right? It's Christian's story. It's not Roydell Williams, not AJ McCarron, not any of these guys. It's Christian's story. It's not Kerryon Johnson, So let him go try to score touchdowns at least initially and go from there. But he's a great kid. He's a coach's kid, and he acts like it. He plays like it. This is a huge get for Alabama, although a lot of in-state kids are sort of undervalued because they're expected to go to Bama, right? If you get that green light, you commit. But I think Story has the chance to be a little bit better than even we are giving him credit for. I go receiver first. Yeah,
receiver first. All right.
Bama's done well with one type of receiver, right? The speed guy. Start getting dynamic with different body types, right? Go with the bigger guy, go with the tweener, and you still have those speed guys as well. Speed, Smitty and Jalen Waddle, et cetera. You still have those guys, so complement them with different styles, and I think that's where a guy like Story can maybe make an impact.
Yeah. And then there was another. What freshman receiver do you see? We talked about that. The Jones Bell kid.
Caillou.
Somebody's talking about they're excited to see Drew Sanders. They like his versatility.
Yeah, that kid's a freak of nature. There's another one like Story. Plays all over the field.
5-star out of Denton, Texas.
Yeah.
Where do you kind of see him projecting?
I think of college football in 2020, and I think you got to affect the passer. And Bama's got a lot of pure pass rushers in this class. Your Chris Braswells of the world, your Quandarius Robinsons of the world, but I don't know how many true strong side defensive ends they got. Think of it, Anthony Jennings, right? Sort of an unsung hero over the last few years. A guy who can rush the passer, but he can play the run just as well. Really hold the point of contact, stay outside, maintain leverage, contain, and set the edge for the run game. And I think that's important as well. So I think Sanders can be that strong side complement to the blazing pass rusher that Alabama has coming in with the Braswells of the world. That kid's first step is unbelievable. Saw him at Under Armour. Braswell is going to be a star. Quandarius Robinson, once he is dedicated to one position like he will be, I think he can be a star as well. Heck, DeMoy Kennedy might be a pure pass rusher before all is said and done. But all those guys as pass rushers are flash and speed. And I think Sanders could be a complement to that and be able to win pass rushing reps with power and also set the edge in the run game. So I think there's a chance Sanders sees the field first because he's kind of like a Nick Saban guy. He looks like an Anthony Jennings where he can do a little bit of everything. And I think he's obviously he's a 5-star type. The kid can do a lot of things. I mean, he was committed to Oklahoma as a tight end. Just think about that. Committed to Oklahoma as a tight end. So worst case scenario, put him back on offense and let him go to work. Because Oklahoma, they say what you want about them when it comes to recruiting quarterbacks and pass catchers, they know what they're doing. So Drew Sanders can do a lot of things, and I think there's a lot of that in this class. And Story and Sanders are sort of, 1A and 1B in terms of which side of the ball, and then where do you go from there even when you do have a side of the ball. I think Sanders could be an inside linebacker if you needed him to. It just depends on what his body does and really how the rest of this class shakes out, especially with Dylan Moses coming back, which is, again, cannot be overstated. I think that pushes guys outside because we know one linebacker spot is without a doubt secure. So that should push a lot of these young guys outside.
Yeah, I mean it's not, and you're not going to push like a Shane Lee outside because he's just not. He's not the hips aren't there for the outside for him. He's an inside guy. So I mean you're probably looking at like a Shane Lee and a Dylan Moses on the inside this year. And
I can see that.
That Anthony Jennings spot, that strong side defensive end is really what they're going to be looking for. They're going to be looking to replace him. And Sanders looks the part. He's a big kid. He's set the edge there.
Kevin, tell me as an O lineman, as a left tackle, you play a lot of left tackle in your day. The left tackle, if you know a guy is a speed guy, how different is it versus when you know he can beat you with speed, but he could also beat you with power and a little bit of polish? How different is that approach?
Yeah, I mean, so like if you're lining up as a tackle and you got a guy like Braswell, you know his first steps, he's going to beat you every single time. I mean, you're kind of in bail mode at the snap of the ball. You're focusing on trying to get there because you know that cat's flying off the edge, um, and he's not going to make too many power moves. He's not going to try to push pull you. He's not going to do all those things. He's going to slap, dip, and rip, and he's just going to try to spin, or he's going to hit you with the one step spin or something like that. You play it very different now. You got like the Sanders with the power and the speed. Now you got to look for other. Now you got to look for other things. You got to look for him to actually come into you and make contact, push, pull, go inside, stuff like that. So
who would you rather face?
I mean, I don't want to face a fast kid, not anymore.
Okay.
I mean,
in your prime.
I mean, we're talking back in the day.
290 pounds, athletic, feeling good in your early 20s.
Yeah, back in the day, I wanted to face the speed kid.
Right. That was the point I was trying to work
back in the day, I wanted to face the speed kid. Like, give him back. Like, if we're gonna just go off of, I mean, I'll make a comp that only me and you will understand, unless there's some random Averett person watching this. I mean, I would have rather faced the Garvin instead of the Jay Hill, just because I know what I'm gonna get with the speed guy, and you don't know what you're gonna get when you have somebody that has both speed and power. So.
Yeah, Sanders is interesting, man. It's like Anthony Jennings. It's like is it not sexy enough? Is that why Jennings is sort of undervalued in Alabama lore? Although he was so critical over the last 4 years, compared to like a Tim Williams or somebody who's screaming off the edge.
It's not as sexy, but you're going.
Like Bama fans will tell you that Terrell Hall was more important over the last 4 years, and they would be wrong.
Yes.
It's whatever his name is now. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be wrong.
Okay. Right.
I mean that's your strong side defensive end is he's one of the most important players up front. If you don't have an edge setter, you're screwed. Because if you don't have a strong side edge setter, you're gonna get beat to the corner every time. And a team's gonna see that, and they're gonna run outside zone. They're going to run stretch. They're going to run toss. They're going to beat you to the corner because you don't have somebody that can set the edge. And Jennings the last couple of years has been that strong side edge that he sets the edge. It's kind of what we thought maybe Antonio Alfano would turn into, that edge setter. But now we know
there's a name.
He's in Boulder now doing something. But that's kind of like where we thought he was gonna go, turn into that strong side defensive end type cat. But I mean the Drew Sanders kid's really it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, what his body. He's already like 6'5", 6'6" maybe. He's tall, big kid. He's a little light for for right now. But I mean, we've all seen what Bama can do to what they want you to do. If they want you to gain weight, they're going to put it on you, and you're going to look superhuman. But I mean, just look at like Derrick Henry coming out of ULE. I mean, granted he's big, he's a big kid, but then he goes to Bama and now he's memed and all this stuff. He's become a meme. So
how about Derrick Henry, man? Wow,
what a
run.
He was underrated, I think. I think not a lot of people thought he could be an NFL running back because,
Mark Richt didn't think he could be a college running back.
Yeah, well, that's why Mark Richt doesn't coach college football anymore. That's why don't start me on Mark Richt. Mark Richt is the most underperforming coach of all time. The teams he had at Georgia, he should have won like 4 natties. But that's not. What
was it? Stafford. Stafford, AJ Green, and Noshawn Moreno.
Noshawn Moreno, like what? You should have scored 80 points a game. Not to mention the O lines that he had. I mean, just ridiculous. But
that team though. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, they were that NCAA team was nasty. Bring back NCAA.
We were mopping up people with Stafford virtually.
Hashtag bring back NCAA. We all want him to be back.
Please.
You're gonna pay kids, bring it back. But yeah, no, I just think a lot of people thought that he was too stiff and all this. He does run. He is tall, so he runs tall. But I mean,
if you're 6'3", you're not gonna run 5'9".
Yeah, exactly. So. Sound like Booger McFarland there, and you're stating the obvious.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like he runs high. Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, he's a 6'3" plus running back. I mean, how do you want him to run? You want him? I mean, get out of here. A lot of people thought he was too stiff. He wasn't going to be able to be an every down back, which he's not an every down back. We all know that. That's why they got Dion Lewis. He's not an every down back, but when you get him the ball and he gets rolling, just like he did at Alabama, the more and more he gets the ball and the more touches he gets, the stronger he gets, the better he gets. And we've seen it here in the playoffs, just feed my man the rock and let him run.
It's that long speed that I think really catches people off guard because he's so big.
Yeah. Once he gets out.
Yeah. It's funny because this is like thrown out at white players, but he has the deceptive speed that they always talk about. He has the sneaky speed that all these commentators talk about with these slot receivers and tight ends.
Like, give him
deceptive speed. Like, no, he's fast. Like, Adam Thielen is fast.
Give him the Christian McCaffrey comp where
Christian McCaffrey's effing fast.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the most athletic players to come out. I mean, he's just a freak of nature athlete, but I mean, he gets the white comp. He gets he's deceptively quick and he's sneaky fast and he's a gym.
And it's white broadcasters too. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry gets he's deceptively fast because
he actually is
fast.
Thank you. They finally, 20 years later, figured it out. That's the guy who's deceptively fast.
There's your deceptively fast guy, not Christian McCaffrey.
Don't worry. Joe Burrow's about to go to the league. It's coming. It's coming back. Deceptively fast is going to be back.
Wait till T-Law gets there.
It'll be there too.
It'll be just like Aaron Rodgers.
Joe Burrow's gonna run 4.61 laser and be like, he's deceptively fast. Like, no, he's tangibly fast. Like, there's numbers for that. Yeah.
God help his career because he's gonna end up in Cincinnati. So,
I don't know, man. What about the Panthers trading up? What you got? What's the scoop in Charlotte? Give it to me.
I mean, I don't know, man. Everybody,
go get him. Go get him.
Yeah, I mean, you got the 6th or 7th pick.
Trade the ghost of Luke Kuechly for that number 1 overall pick.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Luke, man. He's not dead, guys. He retired.
Sorry. Don't.
It's like Crimson and Blue Chips podcast kills Luke Kuechly during the show.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, with Joe Brady coming, I mean, you gotta. I don't know. You got Cam Newton, who God only knows what. I mean, I don't know. It's not.
That's getting weird. That's getting weird.
Yeah, it's not going to be Will Greer. Let's go there. It's not going to be Will Greer. It's not going to be Kyle Allen. So,
yeah,
everybody thought it would be Kyle Allen, and then it was like,
just like in college. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good job, Texas A&M.
Kyler to Kyle or Kyle to Kyler?
One of them. I don't remember.
Didn't work either way.
Yeah, either way it didn't work. But I mean, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind it. I said that they should just wait till like the 2nd or 3rd round and draft Jalen. So. But what do I know?
You had to get your Jalen Hurts mention in somewhere. Bama fan Dave is turning. He's logging off. He's logging off.
Yeah, wherever he is, right. If he's watching, he just closed the window because Made a Jalen
Yep.
NFL reference.
Hopefully he's not in his car listening because now he's going to get a speeding ticket.
Yeah,
Because he
sorry,
just,
Dave.
yeah,
And that's
he's
the
gonna.
thing. I haven't actually gotten to talk to Dave since he went to Oklahoma and actually became a quarterback. So
Oh, that's not a coincidence.
yeah, I know, right? He actually
Dave is conveniently gone. We should tweet him. Tweet him from the pod account later. Say, please listen to the 59-minute mark
9:40
because
mark of this pod
it's
to get your Jalen Hurts
yeah, it is for you, friend.
just for
So
you.
yeah, we'll see what Jalen does. He'll be at the Senior Bowl this coming week, and that'll be a zoo. So if you're in Mobile, stay away from Lad Peebles because it's going to be wild. Justin Herbert's going to be over there. Jalen Hurts, a lot of big time players. Of course, Alabama and Auburn will be represented as well, including some other Mobile guys. So that'll be cool. Always cool for those guys to go home. Yeah, he needs to have a good week. He's had a weird 2 years, I think.
He needs the tape. He needs to have a good. He needs to have a good week there. I mean,
well, as a big DT, you need to show that in one-on-ones you can win.
yeah.
You got to be able to rush the passer in 2020. So if there's one element, his one-on-ones versus interior prospects are going to be huge for his stock. Could literally be the difference in a round, I think, because it's a hard sell because we just don't see guys like that
Not
drafted
in
very, very
not
high.
in the NFL, yeah.
Right. I mean, there's only so many. How many Calais Campbells exist?
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see the more Aaron Darnolds than you do the Calais Campbells. So
exactly, which is crazy to think about 5 years ago, but it's absolutely true.
yeah.
So shout out to those guys headed to Mobile. Finish strong.
Nick Saban Jr. wants to know who we got going to the Super Bowl.
Oh God, this is the least informed NFL season I've ever been alive.
Yeah, I've really not paid attention to anything.
I'll take Aaron Rodgers against Jimmy G. I just think he's got to win another bowl to be considered one of the greats, and I think he is one of the greats. So I'll take Aaron Rodgers to get by San Fran, especially I think San Fran killed him early in the season. So you ain't gonna do that twice.
No, it'd be in San Francisco. So
yeah. Oh no, if it was in Green Bay, it'd be a wrap.
But, if it was in Green Bay, we're not even talking about this one.
And then AFC, I mean, gosh, can you really predict this Titans run to continue against KC and all those points that we think are going to exist? Of course, we thought Baltimore would score a lot on Tennessee. We thought New England probably would too. But Rashaan Evans and the boys are really as big of a story as Derrick Henry. It's just football, so people forget about defense. But Rashaan Evans and those guys have been unbelievable, beating Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson. But can they really go to Arrowhead and do it?
It's one of the toughest places to play. It's bound to be. It's bound to be.
It's just the margin
in the city. It's really weird. Like, I don't know. Have you ever thought about that? Like, for me, it's like all I think about when I hear Kansas is like tornadoes and crap. But then like
it's in Missouri, Kev, Kansas City, Missouri.
Whatever. See, I'm uninformed. Kansas City.
There's Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, I know that, but I thought they were in Kansas City, Kansas.
It's close to the border.
Whatever. Okay, so in Kansas City, tornadoes there. But
you're like Midwest cold tornado.
Apparently, it's not
mediocre football.
Sorry, but now I don't. But I just don't. I don't ever like think about it being like freezing cold like it always is. Like I feel like.
Oh yeah, they have some snow games out there, man. Yeah, I think
it's just southern and ignorant or something. I don't know. I just feel like it's just
Kansas City's margin for error is so big though. Like Kansas City will be trash for 3 quarters, and then Tyreek Hill 80 yards. Oh, Travis
look what happened.
Mahomes broke a tackle. I mean, yeah, exactly.
They just 41 answered points. I mean, they went down,
and you know they're not going to come out that flat again. There's no way.
I mean, they ended up scoring 51 in a playoff game. I mean,
yeah, it's just like when Clemson was bad early in that Ohio State game. You knew they were going to come out the gate swinging against LSU, and hell. For the first 7-8 minutes of the first quarter and the first 7-8 minutes of the third quarter, Clemson was dominant almost against LSU. The problem is there's another 40 minutes. But it's just like with KC, they're not coming out that flat again. They just can't.
It can't happen.
Yeah. So, but even if it does, they have that capability. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that offense is stupid scary.
Yeah,
But
and on defense they got pass rushers, so when they get a lead,
yeah, I mean they brought in Terrell Suggs just for this reason. I mean,
yeah,
he's like
we'll see that.
75 years old, but I mean, he can still rush the
He
pass.
might get a ring. We just need Aaron Rodgers versus Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. We just need that.
I
No
just need
disrespect to Ryan Tannehill and Jimmy
two
Garoppolo,
old.
but yeah,
I need two old-fashioned gunslingers just slinging it, and I just need the gunslinging to happen. I need a Super
yeah.
Bowl. It'd be a wide open Super Bowl. It would actually be I feel like it would be entertaining for once because I mean we've lost kind of the entertainment factor of the Super Bowl here recently. But I think gunslinging could help that out because I mean thank God we're not seeing Tom Brady and the Patriots again. That's I mean I'll
I think
say
you
that.
speak for most of America saying
Yeah,
that.
I mean all except for like one corner of the Northeast, but. Thank God it's not Tom Brady, but I would like to see the gunslinging of Mahomes and the gunslinging of Aaron Rodgers.
Thank God we don't cover baseball. By the way, holy crap!
I
You
don't
seen all
think I don't think I could cover baseball.
that? Same, but man, whew, that's a slippery slope. Like it's
Like, are
about
we
to be to
better?
the
Are
point
we
where
better?
if you're in Houston in 2017, like you're fired.
Yeah,
Like,
like
oh, I was driving by on whatever that is, I-10. Oh, you're fired. Like you were in Houston 2017, you're out. You're out. You got to go.
yeah, like,
And
are we
it's
going to see like
amazing.
the first major championship stripped from a team? Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like there's. I don't know what they were doing, but
I
they're
saw
like,
today they're accusing another team of using this stuff. It's like now that one team is crumbling from within. They're like, shoo, I saw that 10 years ago, and like people are saying it now.
oh yeah, they're blue
It's
falcon and they're blue falconing people left and right. Like if we're going down, and like you're coming down with us. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
saw people
It's
posting pictures,
crazy.
like people were like posting pictures of like Altuve, and they were like
Oh yeah,
zooming in. They were like,
it
"What's
was like
that on
this.
his shoulder? Like, what's that? What is that? Is that a
He's like don't rip my shirt off after this walk
yeah?
off
Don't
because
take my
my
shirt
he's
off.
like because my wife will get mad. Like no, it was really like
It's because I'm wearing a
the
wire."
eye in the sky, baby. yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
he's that confidential informant that's like, please don't let him know I'm wearing a wire.
Yeah.
Like he's got this like
It's insane. So
vibrating thing, like it's like vibrate once if it's a fastball. Like I don't know how that works, but
blink twice if you're in Milwaukee.
yeah, but
That must mean it's getting late.
yeah, it's classic.
My watch is dead too, so it's getting late.
It's 10:15, so
Yeah, I mean
but
we're old.
we still have 20 people watching us ramble on and make Anchorman reference.
Shout out to the 20. I mean, it's Friday night, guys. Come on, what are we doing?
Yeah,
What are we doing?
and it
At
is.
least tomorrow night. At least it's not tomorrow night. We got those fights to watch, Polynesian Bowl to watch. So
Yeah, I saw him
you have
doing
an
the
excuse.
today. That was pretty cool.
Just never the haka never gets old, right?
No, it doesn't.
Like what else never gets old like the haka? Because I could watch the same haka on repeat right after the first one's done. Like I could watch them back to back, two of the
Yeah, I
same
mean, I
exact
can
haka.
pull up YouTube and type in Haka and just watch every single one of
Like
them.
you'd be good with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else doesn't get old like that? It's like certain
Hours.
roller coasters, maybe roller coasters, certain ones.
Certain roller
No?
coasters.
Certain roller coasters don't get old, right? Like when you go, obviously you don't ride them back to back. I mean, you can if you want vertigo, but you can also go back. You're a kid and then you grow up. You're like, oh man, this is still like that roller coaster for me. It's like Montu at Busch Gardens in Tampa. It's like, man, it's still as gangster as it was when I was 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, I tried. We went to Carowinds not too long ago.
I didn't mean to set you up like this, bro. I promise.
What? I was just saying.
I didn't know where you're going with it, but I'm sorry.
I mean, I went to Carowinds not too long ago. I wanted to ride the roller coasters that I used to ride that I loved as a kid and even as a young adult. And then I got there and the damn chest harness is too small, so it doesn't click. So I can't ride the Carowinds roller coaster because the chest harness won't close.
Well, it's like, and see, as an interviewer, you're asking questions and you're always thinking of your next question. So I was thinking of what else is sort of evergreen like the Hawk, and roller coasters for some reason popped in my mind. You know what? Marvel movies. How about that? Like you can watch those again.
All things Marvel.
Right. they're they're always great, right? I haven't seen the new Star Wars yet. I'm like,
Neither have I because you didn't come here for Christmas, so
well,
I didn't have you to go watch Star Wars with, so I didn't go watch it yet. So I still haven't
well,
watched it.
baseball's not the only thing we got out of at the right time.
I'm waiting on you, so
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. But anyway, the Haka's dope. Polynesian Bowl is tomorrow night. DJ Uangalele is playing. Oh, I think he's playing. He's
he's
the
there.
heir apparent to T Law. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's
there's
there.
a lot of good players expected out there. Justin Flo and company going to play in that game. Leonard Manuel, kid who's still available. A couple quarterbacks as well. So it'll be fun. I think it's in Hawaii, so it's late. It's a late game. But if you're not an MMA fan, check that out. Saturday night, we'll probably talk about it next week at some point on the pod. I really bombed on that. What is evergreen like the Haka? A roller coaster should not have been the first thing I said. I mean, there's some not safe for pod stuff we could talk about. That is always great. But Haka never gets old. That was the point. I just, I tried to get too cute with it. I apologize. I've never been to Carowinds though. I gotta check that out one day. Carowinds.
We'll go to Carowinds next time you come.
Let's do it. Yeah, there's a Nike camp coming up or something up there.
Yeah.
Under Armour, one of those. There's a million camps now, so we'll be out there.
Yeah, man.
Any other questions or anything for us?
Super Bowl was the last question, really. Do we think Tennessee would be where they are now? No, so it's hard to say. Yeah, I mean, Ryan Tannehill's their starting quarterback.
Bro, Ryan Tannehill can't win a Super Bowl. Let's just be honest.
Well, I mean, they said that about Trent Dilfer, and he won a Super Bowl.
It was a different climate, though. This is like his offensive teams win Super Bowls now, right? I mean,
offense wins championships.
I mean, I get they got Derrick Henry. I get they got Corey Davis. I get they got Jonnu Smith. But still Ryan Tannehill out there. I mean, he did supplant Marcus Mariota, which is a big deal. But
yeah,
he needs to hit the portal, by the way.
Like, is Marcus Mariota that bad? Like, he got ousted by
Ryan
Tannehill? Like, what?
I don't know, because there weren't in the last 5 years, there aren't 5 college quarterbacks that I was like, yo, this guy's gonna win the game. When I watched Mariota, I was like, yeah, they're gonna win. Yeah. If you just felt it, right? You're just like, yep, they got it. Like, I felt that with Baker. I felt that with Johnny Football to some degree. Heck, I felt that with A.J. McCarron. I felt like, you know what? They're going to win. And Mariota was one of those guys, and it just hadn't worked. Maybe he just needs to change the scenery. I don't know. They've had a bunch of different coaches and OCs and stuff, but that is weird.
Now you have a middle linebacker as your head coach. So.
Tannehill can't win a Super Bowl. It's got to be Mahomes and Rodgers. Come on. I'm the defensive guy, and I want to see these two quarterbacks get after it. So, but we'll see. It's the NFL, man. It's a crapshoot. So.
Who you got tomorrow, Connor or Cowboy?
You know what? MMA is like my way where I can like root for the bad guys, man. So, give me Connor. Give me a vicious, bloody knockout. All the talking, all of the antics. I want all of that.
Yeah, but in
my MMA, I want all that.
He's calmed down. Like, he's calmed himself down now. Like, if you watch that interview he does the other day,
I watched it yesterday.
He talks about how he respects LeBron for spending $1.5 million on his body, and make sure he's taking care of himself, and he stopped drinking. Which, I mean, obviously he was drinking because he's throwing shit at buses and doing all types of crazy stuff. But I mean, you got to respect the guy that realizes he's like sliding down this like path of like not being a superstar anymore, and like,
all right, well, we'll see if he gets blood on his hands and a massive victory. We'll see how calm he is.
Oh, I mean,
that animal's coming right back out.
He's still the same guy. I mean, you could see him at the press conference, but he's not like, he wasn't like overly talking crap like he usually does at the press conferences, and he's shaking hands and polite and doing all the stuff that you want your superstar.
But he can be aggressive. He's just not like, he's not trying to break laws now.
Yeah, he's not trying to assault people and shit like that. Like, he's got charges now. So, but yeah, I mean, it'll be good. I'm probably not gonna watch it live because I'm not gonna pay for it just because I'm cheap. But I'll watch some replays. It'll be on social media 5 seconds after it happens anyway. So
That's true too. That's
it'll
true.
be on the
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun though. But I like all the bad guys. I like the guys who talk the most crap. I like that's
Oh, yeah.
when I go to MMA. Give me all of that. Give me
I
the
want,
worst
yeah, I
character
want
guy.
knocking someone's face off.
Like I'm trying to see Greg Hardy win championships in UFC. I don't care. Too far?
Yeah. Then there were. Cut. We'll call it a night on that one.
So this isn't live, right? So we can rewind and
Oh
chop.
no, we're still live.
Okay, that's fine.
But
Hey, Greg Hardy's he's like 10-1 or something, isn't he?
yeah,
Isn't he really good?
Never mind. Never mind.
Just win fights. I'm not talking about winning life and
I
mentoring
wasn't talking about
children.
real life either. I was just saying that his former life rolls into his new one in certain ways. But maybe that was too far. But
Well, people
yeah,
don't get it.
always
It's cool.
as I watch the number of viewers plummet.
Yeah, people are like, they're talking MMA, like we're out of here.
Yeah, we're out of here. No, but as always, guys, we appreciate you coming in on a Friday night, coming and hanging out with us. I mean, I don't know, it's always humbling and stuff to see, people come out and support us on a Friday night when you could be anywhere else, even though there's not much going on right now, but we still appreciate you guys tuning in to us as always. If you're new to the show, probably should have let off with this so you didn't have to go through an hour and 15 minutes of hearing us talk before I got to this part. But if you're new to the show and you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. This is where we're pushing our content now. We're really focusing on YouTube and getting video content up, and that's where we're going to kind of focus. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, IG. And all that good stuff. So
yeah, tweet in questions. We're not that smart, but we do have the ability to save those, so we can come back and answer those on later shows or what have you. So, like we said, recruiting's back open. So this thing's about to pick up in the next few weeks. So we hope to cover it for you.
Yeah. So anything that comes up during your week or in between shows that you guys want to know, just tweet us at CABC Pod. Send us a direct message. Send it to
him.
Yeah. I'm at producer_Kev. You can send it to me, or you can send it to at CABC Pod on Twitter. It's at CABC Pod on Instagram as well, and it's Crimson and Blue Chips on Facebook. You can send it to any one of those platforms, and we'll make sure we get to it on the next show. Like I said, we're trying to get more. We're trying to get more back into the rhythm and back into doing this not every day, but at least once or twice a week. Because it is something that we did for you guys, and we want to continue to bring you guys good content and all that good stuff. So subscribe, hit bell notification, that way you get notified every time we post a video. And Friday night, we appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. A quick shout out. Everglades High School has 2 national champions. Joe Brady, John DeCosta, a couple of my high school teammates. Public congratulations for winning the Natty at LSU. Publicly hadn't said much of that, but obviously a lot of ties to LSU this past year. They're both on. John DeCosta went over to Old Dominion. Joe Brady, of course, in Kevin's neck of the woods in Charlotte, coaching the Panthers. But shout out to Everglades High School, alma mater. Couple national champions. Pretty cool. So there's that. All right, I'm good. You good?
I'm good, man. We appreciate you guys as always. For John, I'm producer Kev. We'll see you next time.